Dublin Ford Lincoln is honored to call many well-respected and wonderful people our friends. Bert Thigpen is one of those friends.
It's just an easy process for me because they're with you when you buy it, but the main thing, they're with you after you buy it, then they give you the service after you buy it. And that makes, to me, that's three factors that I really look at. And they've done that ever since I've been here.
Others call you customers, we call you friends. That's Dublin Ford Lincoln.
We're so excited to be here tonight at the Ice House. I have with me Garrett Williams. He's the CEO over this, I guess, the Middle Georgia Boy Scouts. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Seems like just, we were talking off camera, seems like only yesterday, we were here last year honoring Ben Hall, a great community servant. But here we are again. We've got Coach Vince Dooley. You pulled off another good one, didn't you?
We sure did, and all thanks to Ben Hall. I got to give credit to where credit is due. You know, Ben is an absolute friend of scouting, and the Dublin community and Lawrence County in general has always been scout friendly, and we truly appreciate everything that this community does year in and year out in support of the growth of scouting here in the Pine Forest District.
And of course, what a rich tradition, the Boy Scouts, over 100 years old, been helping raise young men for over 100 years. That says a lot about the organization, don't it?
Oh, it does. It talks about the consistency of the organization. It talks about the leadership of the organization, and the one thing that you always have to put at the forefront of scouting is the volunteer leader.
Yeah.
Without the volunteer leader being in place consistently for that 100-plus year period, there would be no scouting. And so we're very grateful for those parents and those adult volunteers that jump right in and make it happen.
Yeah, never complain. And like you said, that's a great way to word it. Just jump right in and do whatever's necessary to get the job done.
Exactly.
And that's what scouting is, though.
It is.
What got you involved at this level that you're in now with Boy Scouts?
Well, I was a scout as a youth, and I remember the impact that the program had on my life, the impact that my scout master had in my life and all the events. And I saw an opportunity to come in at an administrative level and have an opportunity to work with some of the best volunteers that this country has to make an impact on the lives of young people. And so that passion that I had for this program carried over to a career in scouting, and I'm so glad I made that decision.
What does Boy Scouts, we know the motto and the mission of the Boy Scouts, but what does Boy Scouts do to develop a young man to make the impact that they make in our lives?
At the end of the day, our program is all about developing life skills and those important soft skills that you just don't sometimes see and hard to find in today's generation. So we spend a lot of time developing life skills. You know, we put you in situations that will help you develop and grow. You know, a young man going out on a camp out, you might think it's just a camp out. But at that camp out, everybody has a role.
Yes.
And it's important that everybody communicates effectively, because if you don't, you could be eating the burnt eggs or something.
Yeah.
So.
And think about it. You hit on something there. You know, in our day and time, and I don't mean this derogatory against anybody watching us right now, but you know, we're in that state in our country where we don't know how to fend for ourselves. You know, growing up, you know, most families had a garden.
Right.
You had some livestock, especially in our part of the state of Georgia.
That's right.
You could be self-sufficient. And really, that's what Boy Scout teaches, isn't it?
It teaches self-sufficiency, teaches young men how to be self-reliant, that sense of independence, how to think for yourself. Critical thinking skills are so important, and we have some young men here tonight that really exhibit that, you know, and they have been taught, and they've gone through that process to learn how to be thinkers and learn how to be independent. So being self-reliant is a very important piece of what we teach in the Boy Scout program.
Okay, what can we expect tonight? I was talking to Ben Hall a while ago. We mentioned Mr. Ben just a little while ago, but I was talking to him a little while ago, and we were talking about you And he said, James, he stays in the background. He don't want to be in the forefront. He stays in the background. So you and Ben have a lot in common, because I see two humble men,
Right.
and that's an admirable trait. But with that said, you pulled all this off. I know you had a lot of help, and I know what you're about to go to say, so I'm going to cut you off at the knees there. But you helped. I mean, you was in charge of this. You planned this great event. So tell us what we can expect tonight.
Well, what we can expect tonight is the story of scouting being told to the community. That's important, that we always keep that at the forefront of what the true mission is for every event that we do. So we have scouts here tonight that will tell and talk about what the scouting program means to them and the impact that it's had on their life. And what we hope is that when the night comes to an end, that people will continue to have that fire for the scouting program, can reflect on their time being in the program if they were in the program, but also look positively on what this program could do for young people in the Pine Forest District and the greater Lawrence County community. So I'm very grateful for the attendance and the people that will come out tonight. Our leadership team, and I can't say anything more about me without talking about our chairman for this event, which is Dubose Porter.
Right.
And of course, we talked about Ben Hall, Dr. J. Roy Rowland, and all the scout volunteers that have come together to make sure that we're able to pull an event like this off year in and year out.
And when you throw names like that around, those are great community service. Each one of those men you just named, and I all are dear friends, but I'm gonna pull DeBose out a minute. You know, raised 4 Eagle Scouts.
Exactly.
Now that says a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot about an individual to be able to raise 1 Eagle Scout, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. That says a lot, don't it?
It does say a lot, and the commitment that he has to the program, the commitment that he wanted his young boys to have to the program, to stay on that trail and to finish the process says a lot.
And we talked about Ben, but Dr. Rowland.
Oh, wow.
Me and you we could do a show all day. You and I could stay on the air all day talking about the service that he is, not only this community, but our country, our state. He served in Congress, and those are fond memories now because it seems like nobody gets along in Washington anymore. But back when Dr. Rowland was there, you had people that literally sit at the table and hash things out and work things out. And that's the kind of leaders that we need today. And we can learn a lot from Dr. Rowland, can't we?
We sure can. You know, every time I have the opportunity to visit with him, I always tease him and say, you know what, I want to be like you when I grow up.
Yeah.
You know, the epitome of service over self.
Amen.
And what I consider to be a true gentleman. And I don't know if people remember, but it wasn't too long ago, a few years ago, we honored him with the highest award that you can earn in Scouting, the Distinguished Eagle Scout Award. And the people that came out from across this state, it was phenomenal what a gentleman like that and what he meant, not only to the Dublin community, but to people from across the state and even across the nation. And he's, you know, we throw the word icon out a lot about people. You know, we've got a local icon here in Dublin, Dr. J. Roy Rowland.
Yeah, and you can underline that a bunch of times.
You can put 10 under there.
And you know the thing about it, I've had him on recently, but at 93, he still ain't quit.
No.
He serves every day. He goes in the office, and what he does for mental health in this community, when he's been gone 100 years, what he did in this community for mental health and people that can't help themselves. And I'm trying to say this without getting emotional because I love him. I love him so much. Mm-hmm. But when he's been gone 100 years, what he did will still be going on.
It will be. And it's that impact. It's that legacy that he will leave. But you know what? In talking to him this morning, he still got a lot to do.
You better believe it. You better believe it. Okay, last thing.
Yes,
we
sir.
talked about what we're doing tonight. People watching us, we want you to be involved in Boy Scouts. You've been listening a little bit about what Garrett's been telling us, and in just a little while, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and you're going to see and hear these stories tonight that Garrett's been talking about. But to our viewers that are watching that say, you know, I want to give to the Boy Scouts. I want to help the Boy Scouts. Maybe I can't be a leader. Maybe I can't do some of these volunteer things, but maybe I can help financially. Tell our viewers how they can help that way.
Sure, you could become a Friends of Scouting by just going to our local council website. It's www.centralgeorgiacouncil.org, and you can go to our Support Scouting tab, and you could be a Friends of Scouting right through our website. And that could be a way that you can support the program and truly know that your dollars are going back towards the service of scouting here in the Pine Forest District. So there's so many ways that you can support it, so that is a way that you can immediately make an impact. And I'm in Dublin enough, and I'll be happy to stop by your office at any time to meet with you and talk to you about the program.
Give me that website again to make sure we got it.
Yeah, sure. www.centralgeorgiacouncil.org.
www.centralgeorgiacouncil.org. Okay, we got that on the screen for you. Get a pencil. I'm going to close out in just a second, but jot that down. It's on the screen right there because we want you to help. And the thing about it, we can invest in the lives of these young people who can go on to do things that we can't even dream of right now.
Right, and that's the beauty of it. The things that they're learning today may not impact our community for another 15, 20 years, but when it does make that impact, it's going to be a positive impact that's going to be felt by many and by all that are around at that particular time. And I like to think, you know, those Eagle Scouts that we have had come through our program here in Lawrence County, they're Eagle Scout projects that are still standing today that are benefiting our community. And that's that lasting impact. That's that legacy that a 13, 14, 15-year-old young man, boy, that's about to turn into a man, is having on our community.
Yeah, and we see them all over our community. And if you don't know what he's talking about, right around the VA at Lake Leisure, we've got a project right back there that an Eagle Scout did. Right out to Trinity, and look at the playground. An Eagle Scout did that. It's all over our community. Things you may think that the city of Dublin or East Dublin or whoever did, but an Eagle Scout did these projects, and we are so proud of Boy Scouts. And I know you're getting everything ready, but thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me tonight.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
And we're so excited about being here tonight. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. Please stay with us. And you see the website there. I hope you've written it down, but we'll leave that on the screen throughout the program tonight. But please be a part of Boy Scouts. You heard Garrett. I mean, what a gentleman. He'll come by and pick the check up yourself. Now, see, I like that.
Yeah. Customer service at its best.
That's the Boy Scouts.
That's the Boy Scouts.
Y'all stay with us. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with a wonderful program. You are definitely not going to miss this. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Every team has a leader, and Lawrence County's leader in hometown banking is Farmers State Bank, proudly supporting local high school football. Farmers State Bank salutes those who make our community great by working hard to make Friday night football happen. Go Irish, go Falcons, go Crusaders, go Raiders. And count on the team at Farmers State Bank, Lawrence County's leader in hometown banking. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Folks, I'm excited you could join us for this dinner tonight. We have an important reason for being together: to support the program of scouting in our community. Scouting has important words to live by. My dad once said, "I learned what being a man meant when I was 11 years old. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent." I'm an Eagle Scout, and once you're an Eagle Scout, you're always an Eagle Scout. I'm just an old Eagle Scout. And all four of my sons are as well. So thank you for supporting this program. Thank you for what it does for young men in our community. And thank you for your support this evening.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight and supporting scouting. Tonight I was asked to speak about what scouting meant to me. Scouting in general has...
This is not working well. Lean right in.
I'll try.
Go ahead.
Scouting in general has been an organization that has brought service to others in its past, and it continues to do so today. But Scouting has also helped shape the young Scouts into today's leaders. The young men that Scouting truly influences are those willing to reach the highest peak within Scouting, the rank of Eagle Scout. Those who have reached the Eagle Summit know the amount of perseverance that is required to complete this feat. I began as a Cub Scout 10 years ago, and now I am currently finishing paperwork to finalize my Eagle Scout project. From deadlines to mothers looking over our shoulders, the Eagle Scout is not an easy award to achieve. Trust me, I know. I love you, Mom. However, we would be lost without guidance from our parents, troop leaders, and fellow Scouts to teach us the vital life skills that we learn in Scouting. These skills do not include those to survive in the wilderness, but they are the values of the Scout law. Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, brave, clean, and reverent. These values are expected from all Boy Scouts from the moment they begin and from then on. I am glad to have been taught all these values which have helped me and will help me through my life. Scouting is much more than learning to tie knots. Scouting is learning values and skills that are part of daily life. To me, Scouting has been a way to improve myself, learn from those older than I am, and learning to teach those who have just begun the great journey. All my life, I was told that Scouting was extremely important, but I never understood how important it was until now. Scouting has shaped me into who I am today through simple life lessons and to learn patience, perseverance, and perseverance through difficult challenges. Scouting has helped me shape myself into the person I am today, and I will never regret all of the time I spent learning and growing with my brothers in Scouting. Tonight I was here to tell you what Scouting meant to me. Scouting is and always it will be a tool to prepare future leaders for the world ahead of them. As a Scout, I have learned skills that will follow me through my adult life, and I am truly grateful for the people that have pushed me to become who I am today. Thank you all for your time tonight, and please remember what Scouting truly is, and please continue to support Scouting. Thank you.
I came to Dublin in 1954, 65 years ago, and one of the first groups of people that I became involved with were Ben and Pitt Hall, the parents of this guy right here. And over the 65 years that I've been here, I've seen this family make tremendous contributions to this community. Ben, we appreciate all that you and your family have done for this community.
Well, you're too kind.
And I want to thank you very much for getting Coach Vince Dooley here today. This is truly a great day for Dublin. It's a great day for the Boy Scouts, too. Thank all of you for being here. Ben, I have a little presentation here for you.
Thank you, sir.
Imagine a life-changing injury. Imagine the fear and unknown. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team, the only physicians in the area with advanced certification in orthopedic sports medicine, treats sports injuries with innovative techniques. The Houston Clinic has helped nearly 1 million athletes live without pain. Imagine getting back in the game. Imagine the best game of your life. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team.
Today, more than ever before, Scouting is so important in this country. And for you men, and I'm sure there's some ladies involved that have been recognized tonight, this couldn't happen without you. And for what you do and the time you give is so important. And you can't be thanked enough. And what you're doing for these young boys is so important. And to the Chief, thank you for stepping forward and the good staff that you've got. And we look forward to a lot of wonderful things happening there. Now to on with introducing Vince Dooley. Well, how do you do that? Well, quite frankly, I don't know, because he's better known in this state than any other politician around. But, you know, Vince is, when I was at the University of Georgia, and the University of Georgia in the beginning was struggling with football. And we got rid of this coach that was there, and I won't get into all that, but and of course I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention about the coach situation at that time. Sort of chasing girls and having a big time was high on my priority list, I'll just tell you that. But I think it was in December of '63, Vince Dooley was hired by the University of Georgia. In '64, he had his first team. And he was trying to, if any of you have ever fished with a fishing rod, a spinner rod, and had it backlash, well, that's what he had. He had a backlash of problems untangled to get the team functioning in the right direction and believing in what they could do. Well, I told Vince, I said, I was in the stadium in 1965 when he beat Bear Bryant. And that was the most thrilling moment that I can ever remember. I've enjoyed a lot of Georgia football, but to see that happen, because Bear Bryant had been whipping our tail for ages. So I remember the flea flicker. So we were talking about it, and he said, of course, he grew up in Mobile, Alabama, and the only thing they had to do was, like we did back then, was play in the streets and whatever. And when they were playing football, he and his friends came up with this play. And so to watch it develop on the football field that day was a thrill. And let me make sure I get everybody's name. Kirby Moore was a quarterback, I remember that. And I think he threw the ball to Pat Hopkins, is that right? Hudson. And then I think Pat threw it to Bob Taylor. Is that right, Coach? It's close enough anyway, right? So to see what happened in a year, what he had done was amazing. You know, we've all had in our program the history of his life and what all he's done. But I want to take you to the sort of the personal side of some of this. Vince is a historian, and he's got a master's degree in history from his alma mater, which is not Alabama, what is Auburn? Excuse me, I'm having a anyway. So his love is football, his love is people, his love is helping others. And one of the most moving things that I've recognized about him, after all these 25 years of being involved, he has his players come to him and hug his neck and thank him for what he did to help mentor them when they were young playing football. I don't know of any better thing to say about anybody that when they take time, and a lot of coaches don't take the time today, but to take the time to help somebody find themselves, what a blessing. And with that, Vince, I'd like for you to come up and rouse this crowd up.
Okay. I'm a little hoarse, so you'll have to bear with me. And I got reason to be hoarse if you went to the ball game Saturday or saw it. This is inspiring to me, first of all, with the crowd. It's a great crowd. And secondly, that I've had the privilege of speaking in various communities, but I don't think that I have spoken to any group that looks more like a community together as that I sense here tonight in every respect. So that is a compliment to everybody, and with great leadership. Dubose, an example, Ben Hall, the people that we respect so much, those that are in law enforcement, and everybody else, our head scoutmaster, was it Garrett? Yes, sir. Garrett. I mean, that's inspiring to me to see that. And particularly in a community that I've got some great memories. Y'all still have St. Patrick's Day, I assume. Do y'all know who the first honorary leprechaun was in the first St. Patrick's Day parade? Me. I still got that thing. I still have a shillelagh at home that was given to me on that. First honorary leprechaun. I don't know, do they still have the honorary leprechaun anymore? I might have been the first and the last. I don't really know. And I saw Ronnie Rogers the other day, who is from here, and who we recruited to come to Georgia, in a real battle with Alabama, because they had Ronnie confused for a while. But we were able to straighten him out and send him in the right direction, so it was great to see him. And it was great to see, as Ben pointed out, so many of the players. We had an event Friday night before the dedication ball game, and I don't think that I ever recall a happier event, as I saw all the players that were happy, and then they were seeing each other, the team, and what they had all done together was a great experience for me. So you have, because St. Patrick's must have at least some special interest in the ball game that took place Saturday night. Do we have any Irishmen here at all? Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day, I know. But I doubt if we had too many the other night. But Georgia has an interesting connection with Notre Dame. Harry Meir, and I doubt if there's anybody here that's ever heard of Harry Meir, who was the first Notre Dame coach. The great coach at Notre Dame was Knute Rockne. And Knute Rockne put out all of these coaches that went to various places and coached. And some came south, like Harry Meir. And so he was a coach when we beat Yale in the opening dedication game in 1929. Now from Harry Meir came Frank Thomas. And I'm not talking about the television, baseball, who advertises. Frank Thomas was the first Bear Bryant of Alabama. He won 2 national championships and was in the Hall of Fame. And then another Georgia coach was a fellow named Jim Crowley. And I doubt if anybody ever heard of Jim Crowley, but you have heard of the Four Horsemen. Has anybody ever heard of the Four Horsemen? 5 of you. Jim Crowley was one of the Four Horsemen. He was assistant coach at Georgia, and then he became the head coach at Michigan State, and then he later became the head coach at Fordham, which had great teams back there, including the 7 Blocks of Granite, of which Vince Lombardi. Has anybody ever heard of Vince Lombardi? Well, good. So I'm educating y'all that have not heard of it. Well, and I have to confess to you that when I was growing up, Notre Dame had such an image that all of the Catholics in these Catholic schools that were trained by these nuns that you had to be Notre Dame fans, or otherwise you might get your knuckles wrapped or other parts of your body wrapped. But that I was a Notre Dame fan growing up. Used to listen to the games. And but Notre Dame never recognized my talent, so I had to have other plans. So as it turned out, as you know, I went to Georgia, and in 1980, we played Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl for the national championship. And when that happened, I got a call from one of my teachers, Sister Patricia, who was a daughter of charity, and she called and said, "Vincent," that's what they call me, "Vincent, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of you. Can you get us 4 tickets to the game?" Well, I wasn't going to turn the nuns down, you know, they might have a hotline. So I said, "Oh yeah, sister, come on by the room before the game," which they did. And they came in, they saw me, they hugged me, and they said, "Oh, we're so proud of you, Vincent." And so I gave them the tickets, and then as they were leaving, I said, "Don't forget, sisters, say a little prayer for the Bulldogs." They said, "Oh no, we're praying for Notre Dame." Took my tickets and prayed for Notre Dame.
Bailey's Flooring is a proud sponsor of high school football. Count on the team at Bailey's Flooring for quality name brand carpet and flooring with professional installation. Bailey's Flooring has all the latest product innovations and is a proven contractor of commercial and residential customers. And check out the selection of vinyl and carpet in stock at Bailey's Flooring. Call 290-6084.
I have to mention that my wife, Barbara, and I have had 57 happy, wonderful years together, which I'm proud of. Which is not bad out of 59 years. I mean, every year can't be the greatest. You got to work at it a little bit, you know. But we'll have our 60th wedding anniversary on in March the 17th. Yeah, no, March the 19th. St. Patrick's Day is the 17th. St. Joseph's Day is the 19th. So that'll be his 60th anniversary. And I guess the fact we've had such a great run as a couple is that we believe in basic things, in basic values, in faith, and discipline, maybe not in the same way. I mean, one thing that we never question each other if one would discipline the kids. She used to give me hell in the bed later on in the evening, the way I might have disciplined some of our kids. And we both believed strongly in prayer, still do, but again, not in the same way. When I was coaching, we always prayed as a team, asking God to help us to do our best. Because I believe if you do your best, then the rest will take care of itself. That's what you can control. Well, Barbara never believed in that. She believed in praying to win. She thought somebody on the other side was praying. So the night before the Notre Dame game, they had this great event for the officials of Georgia and Notre Dame. So we come in, and right away Barbara spots Father Hesburgh, who at the time was the very distinguished president of Notre Dame. He was known internationally as a great academician. And I could see that Barbara had a thought. And my experience is that when she has a thought, there is no filtering of the thought. It comes right out of her mouth. And before I could say anything, she went up to Father Hesburgh and introduced herself, and then she said, well, Father, I know that you and your network throughout the country will be praying tomorrow for victory for old Notre Dame. Well, Father Hesburgh, the very distinguished, said, well, Barbara, my God doesn't have time for football games. And Barbara said, well, that's good because mine does. And fortunately, they may well have. You know, I think about scouting and I think about the word prepare, because that's part of it. And we're talking about scouting, we're talking about building character and keeping character. And I had the great blessing, even though I didn't have a scouting experience, that my parents, who neither one of them finished grammar school, but they gave me some old basic lessons and value that I still think of today. I mean, sayings that you've heard of probably yourself. I can still hear my daddy say, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Or anything that's worth doing is worth doing well. Or my mama saying, manners will take you where money won't. Didn't understand that quite as the other, but those things stuck with me. And then I was fortunate to have a high school coach that made sense when I was going through a period as a teenager about a lot of things that didn't make sense, but that made sense to me. And so I was fortunate to have the values that I learned from him, as opposed to those that are in the responsible position of being scoutmasters. I know that Ken Cooper, who coached for me, was a scout, and Ken just passed away. He was my line coach. He became the head coach at Ole Miss, and he told me that no one experienced that he'd ever known that helped me more than anybody was my scoutmaster. He said he was the one that I always went to and helped me more than anybody. I didn't have a scoutmaster, but I had others that helped me with these values and character traits that we're talking about. So when I say preparation, people have often asked me, what advice would you give young people? And it's very simple. Prepare yourself to be lucky. Prepare yourself to take advantage of opportunity, because you never know when opportunity comes along. And a lot of work early on for young people might be a lot of drudgery. But if one treats every job at an early age that they have as the most important job, it's amazing how lucky they get when those opportunities come along. You know, the old saying, when preparation meets opportunity, it's luck, but it absolutely is. The NCAA holds a banquet every year where they honor the top 10 student athletes, great citizens, great students. And then at the same time, they have the silver anniversary group that 25 years after they finished, and they were top 10 athletes, they've gone out and done some incredible things, and they brought them back to honor them. We've had a couple at Georgia. Fran Tarkenton is an example. We have another named Tommy Lyons, who was an All-American center, played for the Denver Broncos, and became a doctor and became a pioneer in laser surgery all over the world. He went to these, and he was one of the silver anniversaries. Well, that particular year that I was there, the person that was the spokesperson for these silver anniversary winners was a fella named David Bing. Has anybody ever heard of David Bing? Well, David Bing was an All-American basketball player at Syracuse. He was an All-Pro basketball player, and so highly respected that he started a business in Chicago that was highly successful. He went on at one time and became mayor of Detroit. So he was quite an individual. And I was anxious to hear what he had to say as to what helped him to be so successful in his business. And he said, behind my desk, I have a plaque. That was a saying that my old high school coach used to say all the time. Could very easily have been my scoutmaster. But he says that the plaque gave the 5 P's that he called proper preparation prevents poor performance. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. It's a very simple but substantive statement if you think about it. And I thought about my high school coach that meant so much to me, and again, scouting. Now, that is the case when preparation meets opportunity in about 95% of the cases. But there's about 5% of the cases where you might have prepared all you could prepare. You might have done all the preparation you should have done, and somehow things don't go right, but it kind of falls out of heaven, and you say thank you. We were playing Clemson. We used to play Clemson all the time. And we ended up playing Clemson again this year. But we were playing Clemson in Death Valley, and we were doing pretty doggone good. And they punted the ball to us late in the 4th quarter. And the ball rolled all the way down to our goal line, to the 1-inch line. In fact, the official evidently had the greatest eyesight of any official I've ever seen, because he was able to tell that that ball was on the 1-inch line. And of course, that just really stirred Clemson up, stirred their fans up, stirred their defense up, jumping around. So I had to do something, and I called a quarterback sprint out. And I'm thinking about decision making, because people ask me what's the difference between making a decision as a football coach and an athletic director. Well, you make decisions in both cases, but the question is the amount of time you have to make them. As as I think about being an athletic director, if I had to make a decision, I appoint a committee. And the committee studies it for 3 months and makes a recommendation to me, and then I study it and I make a decision. But if you're a football coach, you got about 3-4 seconds to make a decision. So when the quarterback sprinted out from the 1-yard line, the Clemson quarterback caught him in the backfield for a safety, which stirred the crowd up further. And then we had to punt. They came down on the last play, kicked a field goal, and beat us. Well, the following Monday, I was having lunch with then Henry King Stanford, who was our president. And we talked a while, and then I had to excuse myself because I was going to get ready for the next ball game. And he said, "Oh, Vince, before you go, I want to tell you that if I had been you, I would not have called a quarterback sprint out on the 1-inch line." And I said, "Yes, sir." And if I'd have had 3 days to think about it, I would not have called it either. So it does make a difference in the amount of time that you have. But in preparation and opportunity, we were playing Kentucky. And nothing went right in the Kentucky ball game. We were down 16-0, finally scored in the fourth quarter, scored again, made it 16-14, then got the ball on the 5-yard line and started a drive. And we had a guy named Larry Munson counting down. I'm glad I didn't have to listen to him. 242 seconds, 241, 240. We went all the way down the field to the 12-yard line with 3 seconds left. I called timeout, sent my kicker in, a fellow named Rex Robinson, to kick the winning field goal. And when we broke the huddle, I knew we were in trouble because our right tackle was missing. We had a tackle named Timmy Morrison. And he was missing, which means our corner's short, they're going to block the kick. If he doesn't block it, it means we missed it. And even if we were to make it, they'd penalize us for not having enough people on the line of scrimmage. So at that moment, in that crisis, I turned, and standing right next to me was my little tackle, Timmy Morrison, who was supposed to be in the game. So I turned and put my arms around him and massaged his neck and said, "Timmy, what are you doing?" Well, I'd been coaching 17 years then, and I'd heard about everything, but I wasn't ready for this. He looked down and said, "Coach, I'm praying." He forgot what he was supposed to do, and here he was praying on the sidelines. And so I said, "Timmy, I want you to know that Coach Fran Kersey, who was the coach in Kentucky, has just answered your prayers." Because he has just called timeout, which enabled me to get your fat rear into the game. So he goes into the game, we kick the field goal, and I'll look up and say, "Thanks," because sometimes it just falls out of heaven. And what's fallen out of heaven is to see all of you tonight and see the importance of scouting and the fact that it's character building. The only thing that I have against scouting is that there's not enough people that enjoy the benefit of it. We just reach out and keep finding more. If you can imagine all of the people that are having troubles, teenagers, young people, that would have the experience of scouting, how we can solve so many problems with character building. And that's what this is all about. So it's great to have the opportunity to visit with you. Ben has been a great friend and supporter. Nelson Bowers, who played for me and then was injured and then became a trainer and become very successful. They're the best of friends. So I've had the great privilege of knowing him and through Ben and everybody else here.
Allen's Heating and Cooling is your licensed Amana equipment dealer. Trust Allen's Heating and Cooling to install and service your heating and cooling unit. Allen services all brands, and with the purchase of a new Amana, offers a lifetime compressor warranty. Call Sean Clark or any of his friendly staff at Allen's Heating and Cooling, your Amana dealer. Amana lasts and lasts and lasts.
If anybody has a question that they've always wanted to ask me, and I'll ask the first question. What did I think about the ball game Saturday? That was probably the most electrifying game I have ever seen in, if you'll excuse me, Dooley Field at San Francisco. And I have to admit that I was hoping one day that might happen, though I really didn't think I would be around when it did. So I'm very happy that I was around. But what has been special about that, very special, is that it involves my family and the players, because they are part of the celebration, and it would not have happened without the players. And then you can take the fans, you can take, there's so many of them, you can take the band that's on the field, or you can take the staff, my coaches, cheerleaders, everybody makes that happen, made that happen. I just happened to be the one that they had to name it after somebody, so they named it after me, so I was very fortunate in that respect. But what we have now is a coach that will probably do something, will do something, that only one coach has been able to do in the last several years, and that is Nick Saban at Alabama. And that is to compete every year at the highest level. And that is hard to do. The way that Nick Saban has been able to do it is because every year he has recruited at the highest level. And Kirby was there for 9 or 10 years. And if you look at the first 3 years of his recruiting, including the 4th year, he has been 1, 2, and 3 in the whole country in recruiting. He is a recruiting fanatic. Every decision he makes is centered around recruiting. And if he recruits that way, he's going to have a chance to compete every year. I think we got a great chance this year to do what he wants to do, and those of you that are Georgia fans want to do. I don't want to ignore other schools that might be here, but I am a little prejudiced, if you don't mind. And if he doesn't do it this year, I think he'll do it next year or next year. But he will compete at the highest level. And I think it's been the greatest situation that we've had. Is there any other questions? What made me want to be a football coach? Well, football meant a lot to me because it gave me a scholarship. And at the time that I came along, I could not have gone to college because my parents didn't have any kind of money. They didn't have these loans back then. And it was just an opportunity to go to college. So football helped me in that respect. I got an education. I finished in business because back then you didn't want to, coaching didn't have a lot of security. And then when I got out of the Marine Corps, I had an opportunity to go back, and I thought I'd try coaching, and I did. And then I just liked it so much because I felt like I was doing something beyond doing something to make money, that I was helping somebody, that I was touching somebody in some way. Now, it's a good thing in those days that I wasn't thinking about making money, because I still have my contract, my first contract, when I came to Georgia. My base salary was $12,000. I had a $2,500 subsistence, which was a tax break. And then I went out and negotiated my own television show. Old CNS Bank, some who remember that's a statewide bank, agreed to take me on a one-year trial, $100 a show, 10 shows. So my total package was $15,500. And somebody said, that's just about what you were worth when you came, eh? And I couldn't argue that, because if you look at my resume, I was 31 years old, a freshman coach at a rival school. As an administrator, there is no way I would have hired myself. But the beauty of it is that we didn't know any different. In fact, my wife and I look back on it now and realize we were the only two that thought it was a good hire. So Barbara, I have to hide the newspaper every time they have a coaching survey of what coaches make today. Or otherwise she gets mad all over again. And she even came to me wanting me to go back in coaching. She says, I'll prop you up for a year, and then they can fire you, and if they do, you'll make about $3 or $4 million, and we'll be all set. But it wasn't about money, and but that's why I went into coaching. Thanks for the good question.
Hey, want a successful career? Start with an education that puts you front and center with hands-on experience. An education that will prepare you for opportunity in 2 years or less. An education that's fast and affordable. Most OFTC students graduate debt-free thanks to the Hope Career Grant, which offers free tuition in more than 63 programs. Think differently about college. Choose OFTC for an education that's fast, local, and debt-free. OFTC is an equal opportunity institution.
This is just a great honor. So as a small thank you for your leadership over all these years for the Georgia Bulldogs, and for all the young men that you've mentored over the years, we want to thank you and make this small presentation to you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
These are the leaders in our community, and that's what scouting continues to be about, is developing young men and women to be leaders in our community. And that's the message that I delivered, that was delivered to me when I was a scout, and it's the message we continue to lead today. And I just want to thank everyone here for their support and for coming out tonight. And again, Coach, thank you so much for being our guest. One more thing. Dubose, can you come lead every event that I go to? Because I believe we could have a great time. But thank you so much for hosting this tonight, and thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Chip. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank again these scout leaders, these scouts. Let's thank the mothers and the fathers of these scouts, especially the mamas that take care of them when they come in from those camps. Y'all, this is a program that has been successful and has molded a lot of young men and will continue to do so because of your support tonight. My brothers are both Eagle Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout, all four of my children. I believe in this program. I know the good that it does for so many families. Thank you for understanding that. Thank you for helping tonight. Ben, Coach, Garrett, J. Roy, thank you as well.